Shani. Hand up, Shani. Reset. Coming out to you, Max.
Who's in this side, Max?
Come on, Connor, pick a man.
Well done, Seamus. Well done, Kieran. Quickly, Shane. Quickly. Ben Ryan, come back. Well done. Huh?
My granddad. No. The Shan Esther, is it? No, it hasn't.
Come in, come in.
Kind of a hard for some reason.
Kildimo Palace, can you hear me? Welcome to Old Road Radio 2024. This is your host, Niamh O Brien, and I'm broadcasting live from the Old Road, Kildimo. Please get in touch and let me know who you are, where you are. I love to know who's listening in and who you're listening with, and I might even say your name on the radio. You can leave a comment on the YouTube stream. You can send an email to niamhharpmusic@gmail.com, or you can send me a message on Facebook at Niamh O Brien Harp Song. And we already have some people listening in. It's great to hear from Joanna and everybody at the Seven Sisters, to Con, Dee, Jack and all the dogs, and to Mike and Molly tuning in from Kerry. It's great to have you here, and Happy New Year to everybody. Over the next 45 minutes or an hour, we're going to listen into the parish. We're going to press our ear to the road. We're going to hear voices and songs that are born of this place. Some might be familiar to you, and some might surprise you. But we're going to kick off today's show with a song from Patrick O'Brien, who performs under many guises. But in this song, he is King Palace, and it was recorded live at a house concert in Curraheen.
I live in a place called Castletown, Pallaskenry. You might know it. And where we live was part of the old Waller's estate. And my granddad, when I was growing up, was a great man to tell a story. And you couldn't really believe much of it, but I believed every single bit of it. And he used to always say that if ever a door opened oddly, or if ever anything kind of weird happened, or there was any kind of noises, that was Waller. That was Waller just checking up on what we were doing. So I was always convinced that there was this fella called Sir Hardress Waller living in our house, which he definitely wouldn't have, because that was the stables. He was up in the hill. But this is called Waller's Ghost, and the idea of it is that we're all just people doing a thing. Happy days. Cheers. All the ghosts inside me, let it breathe. Ones of past regret, let it breathe. Voices that I hear now, you haven't changed at all. You haven't changed at all. You haven't changed. All we have is now. But you're caught up in yourself. All we have is now. but you're caught and I'm caught up in myself. Waking up to the beat and let it breathe. It's an imitation that I have found. Let it breathe. Light, it breaks the surface. You haven't changed at all. You haven't changed at all. You haven't changed. All we have is now. But you're caught up in yourself. All we have is now. But you're caught and I'm caught up in myself. As I turned away from the start, as I turned away from the start, as I turn away, I know what you are. I haven't changed at all. I haven't changed at all. I'll never change. Thank you.
I interviewed my mother. She grew up in Ballymartin, Pallaskenry. Ringmoylan Pier isn't too far away from her home, and she loved going there, and especially in the summertime, because there was a big pool. It was very dirty, but they still loved going there. There was a shop which they used to get ice cream. There used to be a small shop where Gala is now. It was called Nellie Callahan's. My mother used to get a newspaper every morning and bring it to the priest's house, which was beside Pallaskenry's primary school. And on each Friday, the shopkeeper would give my mother a free chocolate bar for giving the priest his newspaper.
The first time my mum was down in Pallaskenry was the time she came down to meet my dad's parents for the first time. It was 1997 when they were only dating. Her first impression of it was a little quiet village compared to the busy port of Larne where she grew up.
My dad's favourite memory is scoring the winning goal in the county semi-final and going on to win the 2002 Limerick Junior Hurling County Championship and the celebrations that followed.
When my granddad was young, the hurling pitch was behind the creamery. After that it moved to across from the soccer pitch and it moved up to where it is now. The church was Eddie O'Connell's shed and the principal used to let them out at 3:55 so they could get the bus, which cost a penny and a half.
Some lovely memories there that were collected by the students of Pallaskenry and Kildimo National Schools back in 2021. Before that we heard Patrick O'Brien, or King Pallas, with his song Waller's Ghost, and there's a link in the description to some of King Pallas's music that you can stream and purchase over on Bandcamp. We also heard some music there from Glenamede DJ Jack Ward, and we'll have more to come from Jack later. I love hearing people describe past versions of place, how it was, what has survived on the landscape, what survives only in story or song. Last year I ventured back the old road and I chatted to my neighbours John and Mary O'Brien. The old road, as we call it, now has 60 houses on it. I asked John to paint a picture of the old road from many, many years ago.
at the cross was O'Neill's pub always, right? And then what the place that got knocked down was Burns's, Bridgie Burns's, but she was actually Bridgie McMahon. Her name wasn't Burns at all, but we always called her Bridgie Burns because it was Cato Burns and her husband all lived there. So there was then coming back, there was Canon Wallace's. He was the parish priest. It was Canon Wallace's where Brian Green's is now, across from your place. The next house then was Jack Maloney's. Then there was Mead's house, or John Mead. Do you know the house after Roisin Keefe's? That was Wilmot. Johnny Wilmot used to live there, and he was the first man we ever knew that lived to be 100 years of age. It was amazing. There wasn't too many people who lived to be 100 years of age in those times because, you know, for health reasons and everything. The next house then was just south or east of my house here was Shannessys. Then our home place down below. Then going further back was Liam Hayes' parents' house. Then on top of the hill, before that, there was Nash's. He was a carpenter, John Nash's. That was one of the real old houses now. It was kind of a shack, really.
And is it gone altogether?
Oh, it's gone, yeah. That's gone, yeah. In the passageway there, across from Liam Hayes' parents, in there was the Fitzgeralds. Long Jim Fitzgerald, we used to call him, and his sister. But he was the first guy around that ever had electricity. He bought a generator. And when we look back, before we ever even had electricity, he had a generator. So he had electricity back there before anybody around here had it. Because I think it came around here around 1948, 49. I remember when it first came.
Well, what do you remember about that?
Well, I remember coming home from school. We used to have to do our homework with the Tilly lamp. You know, just one lamp up on the wall. You know what I mean? But see, we were so used to it, we could adapt. So then when the electricity came, we were forever switching it on and off. We thought it was great fun. And then for about 3 weeks, for some reason or other, maybe they were upgrading or something, we had no power. So when we went then to do our homework at night, and we couldn't do it because we were used to the good light, we couldn't adapt back to the bed light. And that's what I remember about it most of all, really. It was amazing. And it was a guy down Kennedy. He wasn't even an electrician. He was the guy that wired me, Hall Kennedy. He was a blacksmith. He was the guy that wired the house for us. And he did all the houses around, you know. But the electricity was probably the biggest thing that I've ever seen. I mean, it caused the greatest change in our life. I mean, then, because you had motor cars, there was only about 3 motor cars. Long Jim back there now, he was one of them. Canon Wallace had one, and Morris Rourke had one. They were the only 3 motor cars around. And then, you see, with all the everything came after that, then airplanes came. And then when the first films came around, what was the name of the films crowd? God, that was amazing also.
And where would they be shown?
Down there was either down by where the new houses, the new estate is there now. There was one field they'd pull in there, or sometimes over by Battles' house, where Shannon O'Brien is living now. There was a little field in there to pull in there. And I suppose probably maybe about 2 pennies to get in. But poor old Tony Nealon, when he came one night anyway, so we were all looking at the screen, but Tony sat the other way, and he thought to see that was to look back towards the projector. And we had more fun or something like that. But we were all stupid, really. We didn't know, probably most of us didn't know the difference. But
was there ever much music around here when you were growing up?
Yeah, there would have been nights in the houses. I remember I was very young at the time when there would be a couple of sessions down below. Jack Sullivan used to play the accordion, and I don't know who else would have been there. Anybody who lived around come and they'd all dance around the kitchen and stuff like that. That was amazing, but that would have been a sort of regular event, I'd say. And then I remember the platform dances back in College Chase as well. John Maloney now used to play with a lot of those. He was very good, and I don't know who else would have played with him, but you know, there was the simple fun and entertainment people had, you know.
And did anything happen in the library? Where the library that's now, what was that ever used for?
Well, I remember I was coming home from school one evening, and Mrs. Costello, Pa Costello and the wife, they used to teach dancing. And he used to play the accordion and she would teach the dancing. So whatever bugged me, whoever was going in, I went in to the dancing. Actually, I said, look, I'll go in and then. So I never told them at home that I was going in and learning this. I remember Miss McLeod's reel was the first reel we ever learned. And that was grand. I never said I was going away and find the next thing. And my father got a bill from Mrs. Costello for dancing lessons for John O'Brien. He said, what's this about? He said, are you doing dancing? I said, yeah. And you never told me, no. So he had to pay the bill, but I was dealing with me in the dancing. So he wasn't going to pay any more money for me dancing. So was he agreed.
Some lovely music there from the Fadas. That's Paddy O'Neill, Ita O'Donnell, Timmy McKenna, Nori Nash, Niamh Carl and Dan Davitt. And you can catch the Fadas playing live in Currans at the Ferry Bridge on January 4th, and then every second or third Thursday to follow. So you'll have to go January 4th to find out which of those it is. And if you're free on February 2nd, Paddy O'Neill will be launching his album, his debut album, in Dolans, February 2nd. So there's reminders of all those things in the description below. Thank you to everybody who's been in touch and who's listening along. Hello to the McKennas listening on the old road, to Jack and Joan Murphy listening in Ballyhar, County Kerry, to Maka and Oscar listening in Belfast, and all the diaspora, everybody who's keeping in touch today. I really appreciate it. We're going to carry on with the music, and a song now from J-Own, who is a Pallaskenry based singer and songwriter, and this song was recorded live at a house concert here on the old road last year.
I'll do you a song that I wrote when I'm after I moved to London. I was living in London for 30 odd years, came back there about 5 years ago. And at the end of, I moved over in 87, so at the end of 89, beginning in 90, it was a collapse, kind of an economic collapse over there, etc. A lot of Irishmen who'd gone over at 15 and 16 back in the 50s, etc., ended up taking one-way tickets back to Ireland. And a lot of them decided to have a hoolie on the Holloway Road, which is a part of North London.
Going-away party.
A going-away party that only took most of December and maybe a little bit of January, because there's no point in go back for Christmas because it'd be too expensive. But we had it was very interesting and great characters, and I went down and I kind of met a lot of them. And there was one guy there, and these were the days when nobody had a second name. So if you're from Kildimo, you'd be Tony Kildimo, you know? And I'd be John Limerick or whatever they wanted to call it, or J.O. Limerick. And there was one guy, Tommy Roscommon was his name. Now you can guess where he was from. So Tommy Roscommon was there one night, and he was one of those kind of holding court characters. And every now and then he'd come up with an expression, he'd kind of glance at somebody and that kind of look, and he'd go, bit of a one shoe him, bit of a one shoe. And we'd go, what? He's a bit of a one shoe. And we go, what's a one shoe, Tom? And he'd go, ah. And that'd be it. And you'd never find out. And after a while, anyway, we got it out of him. And he says, well, a one shoe is the kind of person that'd be sitting on the edge of the bed with one shoe on and one shoe off. And they couldn't work out if they're getting up or going to bed. Right? Now, we all did exactly the same. We all roared laughing and thought that was hilarious. And about 6 months later, I bumped into a couple of nurses and I was telling them the story at a gig. And they said, no. They said, we knew people like that. There was guys used to share, one be on night shift, one be on day shift. And they'd actually share the bed. Yeah. So one guy come in and one guy, and so there would be mornings when you not what you're doing. But there were great characters and very interesting days. And in all honesty, it was kind of pleasure, not a pleasure obviously because they were in the, you know, but it was a real eye opener to meet these characters. And out of that came this song, and this is a song dedicated to the Irish Navvies. It's a song called Sean One Shoe. Ride on the faraway ocean, break on the city shore, rise on the wind's wild notion, dreams by the open door. A far cry from this station, a place on the underground. Big men worn down, cash nations, see you on the turn around. Go home, boys, home, go home. Begin where you plan to leave from, ghost with a hungry smile. Last breath in a cold glass frosting, make yourself up in your own mind. From the side to the side, on the inside, a spot Mr. Anna found. No child is a child forever. I'll see you on the turn around, and we'll go home. Boys, home, go home. Where Sean One Shoe says he knows you. When I grew up, the world got bigger too. Still you ride on the faraway ocean, break on the city shore, rise on the wind's wild notion, dreams by the open door. It's a far cry from this station, a place on the underground. Big men worn down, cash nation, I'll see you on the turn around. We go home, boys, home, home. Where Sean One Shoe says he knows you. When I grew up, the world got bigger too. Sean One Shoe says he knows. Sean One Shoe says Ride on the faraway ocean, break on the city shore, rise on the wind's wild notion, dreams by the open door. Sean One Shoe says he knows you. There you go.
That was Jay Owen, and he has some lovely music available. You can check out the link in the description there. Every generation has had its celebrated band of strong men and women, hard workers, memorialised in story and song. The following is an account of local strong men and women that I found on ducas.ie, which is a wonderful website to explore of local folklore. And you can check the schools collection from all different schools all over the country. And I found this from the Pallaskenry Schools collection, and it was collected by John Barry from Ballymartin, Pallaskenry in 1938. And he wrote, "Long ago 2 men walked to the fair of Puck from the parish of Stonehall. There was also a woman living in Mellon who walked to Limerick and brought home provisions and had them cooked for the men's dinner. At that time there was a hurling field in Stonehall, and men used to walk there from Mungret and Newtown. They used to hurl all day and walk home again in the evening. One of the champion jumpers was from the district also. His name was John Sheehan. One of his jumps can yet be pointed out at a place called White Forge. Long ago there was a church there, and he used to jump the gate while he was waiting for Mass to begin. Another of his jumps was a stream with a branch of a tree overhanging it. A man from Ballingarry came to compete with him, but he got hurt by touching the branch. There was a champion Moor living in Mellon. His name was Ward. At that time no measure used to be taken of what was cut, but most people cut an acre, and he was easily the champion. He was so crippled from mowing that he could not get up after his dinner, but once he was up, he could mow away until evening." Those are hardy books. Music now from Ciara McGarrigle. tracks there from local musicians. First up we had composer, pianist and improviser Ciara McGarrigle from Glenamead. You can hear her stuff on SoundCloud under the name Kirogue, linked in the description. And then we had a track from Jack Ward, also from Glenamead. Jack now lives in Manchester and makes dance floor focused music with queer heart at the centre. You can listen to more of Jack's music through the link in the description. Thank you all for joining in and listening along. As I said, there was a track from Jack Ward and it was called I'm From the Country.
Niamh, I'm going to interview you. Do you want to hear yourselves on the tape if I say feedy, 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 feedy?
Here we have some more lovely country sounds from the Sheehan's garden on the old road. They're lovely ducks who I've been informed are now deceased, but they will live on forever in the tape. I joined them for a tour of the garden last summer.
Eggshells. Look at this girl here. She's the right pet. Herself and Hey, come over here. This is your one. Here. Oh yeah. And this girl, these two, I call her Blondie. She came from a housing estate in Mahon in Cork City. And then this is Jemima. She's got the popped up tail. She came from Glen. And then I bought those 5 white ones from they're Aylesbury ducks, and I call them the swans because you can see the size of them, they're huge. And the other ones are Kathy Campbell's. And Hey is just an old hybrid. There was a man on the radio in Clare being interviewed one time, and he was asked about what breed of hens does he go for, and he said, oh, he liked the old-fashioned ones. He said, these little new ones, he says, they laze themselves to death. So they do. But she's not going to lay herself to death. She's 4 years old already and tips away. She does 4 or 5 eggs a week, and she's plenty. So that is my onion patch. I have them half dug already. I just ran out of time. And I grew potatoes here last year, and the odd few cropped up again, so I just leave them. Once you recognise what they are, you can leave them. And then this light pale one is spinach, and because we have birds and the chickens and that, they will pick at the spinach seeds when I let them grow a few years ago. And I can get spinach anywhere. So once you recognise it, I kind of pick it up and make a spinach patch. And so you don't have to grow things from seeds anymore. And these giant leaves here, that is horseradish. So it looks like a dock leaf. So it's absolutely enormous thing. So there's good soil there. A few potatoes there. Inside there, half hidden, are carrots. And then our big crop of rhubarb, which Catherine picked last night. You wouldn't think it, but she picked about 20 pounds of rhubarb last night. Down there are Brussels sprouts, and underneath them are courgettes or marrows if you let them grow.
Seems to be a lot of letting it grow, letting plants do their thing.
Oh, completely. Yeah. It's like you can see, it's wild enough looking around the place, and a few nettles and things like that. But they're like nettles support about 13 different varieties of butterfly. So you have to leave them go, and nettle stings are good for you, they say. That's what the Romans did anyway. They stung themselves when they invaded Britain first. They learned how to curse, I'm sure, as well. So here I have a row of gooseberry bushes. They're just
it's just
in their second year of producing.
Relaxing and meditative, and sometimes I just go down and say, I'll just be 10 minutes, I'm going down here, and I could come back hours later because one job leads to another, and as you've seen down there, it's a little bit chaotic. But there's always something to do. But it's lovely. It's lovely as well, and I especially like that wild patch, which is becoming less wild, because I just find a bush or a plant that I'd like to put in it. So it's just things like that, and just watching things change, and also just letting it go out of control, and just wondering is it worth changing it, or just enjoying it, really, enjoying letting it look after itself. But I also know that behind it all, like in the winter, you can think, well, there's nothing to do there, but he's down in the garden 3-4 hours every day, just doing things like digging, pruning, yeah,
chasing bindweed,
yeah, getting it ready, getting the nets ready, and then by the time things are really busting out, it's a lot of the groundwork's done, and you can just enjoy the other things of it, the less hard work. But I find this time of the year with the topping, tailing, oh my God, oh, not again, not another bowl of raspberries, not another bowl of black currants. And then in the winter when I take out rhubarb and make a rhubarb pie, I think, oh, this is great. Love it. So it's some of it's delayed pleasure. And also John makes all the jam, and just watching him do that. And I did ask him just a few weeks ago, I said, what would you do if you weren't making jam? Would we be off in Lanzarote or something, sunning ourselves? But no. No, he'd be doing something else in the garden. Keeps us out of trouble, I suppose.
It might feel strange to look out the window now and imagine that it will once again be bursting with fruit. But as the saying goes, no winter lasts forever and no spring skips its turn. On the 21st of December we celebrated the winter solstice, and since then our days have been lengthening. They've been stretching out before us, even if we haven't noticed it yet. According to the account on Mastodon, the Grand All stretch, the stretch in the evening is now up to about 8 minutes. So get out and enjoy it, and start dreaming of your spring and summer garden. Thank you very much to everybody who's tuned in. Shout out to Owen and all the gang listening in Abu Dhabi, to Mossy D and Maggie Sheehan listening in Pallaskenry, Joe Brennan, who's tuning in from Kerry, thanks Joe, and another Joe and Sarah, who are listening in Dublin. We're going to have some more music now, this time from the up and coming singer-songwriter Adela Azzopardi. Adela is the eldest daughter of Juan Carlos and Mairead, and she serenaded me with some of her original songs when I visited her at her very musical home in Ardlahan, Kildimo.
I wrote my first song, I think, when I was like 17. Kind of just as like a way to, like, I didn't kind of start writing to sing for other people. It was just kind of a way to get stuff off my chest. And like I've always sang, I've loved to read, I've always kind of written bits and pieces, so just kind of put music behind them. So yeah, since I was 17, and I sang my first original song for my Leaving Cert practical, and that was like my first kind of time singing them for people not my family, and yeah, since then.
And how does it feel to sing an original song in front of people, maybe especially for the first time?
Very nerve-wracking. It's kind of, sometimes I try and just say, like, it's not about me, and sometimes it's not, they are just like, like an exaggerated feeling or a thought or something, but it is kind of nerve-wracking, kind of, because I know that they're thinking, oh, who's this about, or like, oh, I didn't know she felt like that, or you're kind of just, you don't want them to read too much into it. I don't want them to read too much into it, or things like that. So it is kind of stressful, but it's also, it's nice when other people kind of, like when I sang it for my friends and they really enjoyed it, or they like related to it, which is also kind of strange. It's kind of nice to get that kind of feedback as well, though.
So where have you any gigs, or do you think you'd like to plan a gig? Or
I have my kind of plan this year, my goal is to put stuff, like record stuff, because I'd love it to be more than just me and the guitar, because kind of most things are me and the piano, so I'd love to do that. And I feel like if I have some songs that I can, I don't know, just put out wherever, yeah, it is something I plan to do this year, just kind of get a few bits out there. So the first song I was gonna sing is it's called Birthday,
and kind of is just inspired by, you know, this kind of when you wake up one morning and the date kind of just sticks out to you as it's someone's birthday that you don't speak to anymore, and it's kind of like, do you text them, do you not, kind of yeah, that's the inspiration behind it, I suppose. So yeah, it's called Birthday.
Woke up this morning, 6:03, flashed like a warning, like a little kid, tugging at my sleeve. And you kept your eyes closed, wishing for who knows, coffee, cake and whiskey neat. Came flooding back to me. But my friend said not to text you happy birthday. It would do more harm than good, like start a conversation that would tempt me under you. But I wrote it down and typed it out, my message just to prove that I could text you happy birthday and still be over you. Time must have flashed by, it's been a long while, and maybe you don't wanna hear from me, but it won't lead to heartbreak, I won't let my hands shake, I promise you I'm good. I just think I should. But my friend said not to text you happy birthday. It would do more harm than good, like start a conversation that would tempt me under you. But I wrote it down and typed it out, my message just to prove that I could text you happy birthday and still be over you. And still be over you. 'Cause you said that we could still be friends, and isn't that what friends do? It doesn't mean anything, yeah, all you'd have to say is thank you. But my friend said not to text you happy birthday. It would do more harm than good, like start a conversation that would tempt me under you. But I wrote it down and typed it out, my message just to prove that I could text you happy birthday and still be over you, and still be over you. 'Cause isn't that what friends do? And all you'd have to say is thank you. So I wrote it down and typed it out, my message just to prove that I could text you happy birthday and still be over you.
I see you in my dreams. Sometimes I live in the city. Sometimes I live in the town. And sometimes I take a wild notion to jump in the river and drown. I see you in my dreams. I got married, me and my wife settled down. Me and my wife are parted. I'll take another stroll downtown. Irene, good night, Irene. Irene, good night. Good night, Irene. Good night, Irene. I see you in my dreams.
Some love songs there, new and old. One from local songwriter Adela as a parody, and one from a recording made in the Seven Sisters. I think it was during the 1960s. That was given to me by Carmel O'Grady. I'm wondering if anybody can name the singers there. I think one might be Niamh O Brien, but I'm not totally sure. Shout out to John and Mary O'Brien who were listening back the old road. To all the over 60s or under 70s who were on the bus to the rugby match in Galway. Thanks for tuning in, lads. We're going to stay on the theme of love now, and we're going to have a love story from Eileen O'Brien. I met Eileen on Ringmoylan Pier on a sunny day in 2021, and she told me about her first meeting with her husband. Eileen's husband John passed away in November, so when we listen to this, we will think of sunny days and of our loved ones and keeping them alive through memories like this one.
I met my husband in Pallaskenry, and I came to a hurling match, and I saw my husband, and then I had to come back down again with another girl that was anxious to meet a guy that she met, and I met my husband at a dance, and that was it. I never moved out of Pallaskenry after that.
Where was the dance on?
In a marquee in Pallaskenry. It was there for the hurling club or something. I was never in a marquee in my life, and my husband was with a man that was drunk, and the man that was drunk came over and asked me to dance, and I knew that he was with him and that there was no hope of dancing with the other guy if I didn't dance with the fellow that was drunk first. So I had to endure all that, and I had lovely patent black shoes on, and he stood on them, of course, and destroyed the toes of them. Eventually, though, I got my man. Come on, up here now. You have to have a love story to tell. So, yes, I've stayed here, and my husband built a house for me, and we had 3 boys, and we've had a lovely life, really. Very nice existence. And then, of course, we moved down here, we got a farm, and we bought another farm, and my son is instrumental in looking after this pier and getting it done. And so we're very involved in this with the swimmers and the boats and the whole lot. And my husband has a boat and always had a boat on the river. And his grandfather before him had a boat on the river. He used to fish the river. So we kind of basically river people. You could say that.
Did he ever take you out on the boat?
Oh, yes, of course. That's all part of the romance, isn't it, really? The setting sun. Yes. Yeah.
We've come to the end of the show. As always, I want to thank all of the performers and interviewees who gave their time, who invited me into their homes, who sang for me, who spoke to me. And thank you to everyone who has joined in today and who has listened with me. So special shout out to Aisling listening in Kenmare, to Alison Griffin who's listening over in London. We've had a really strong Kerry showing today in the audience, so we'll give that an up the kingdom for everybody there. I began these recordings back in 2021 as part of my research at the University of Limerick, and that research is now concluded, but there are still so many sounds and stories to gather in this parish, especially from those who have only recently arrived. Everybody has a song or a story to tell, and like any place, Kildimo Pallaskenry is full to the brim once you go looking. So hopefully you'll see me roaming around with a microphone for a little while longer anyway. I'm going to finish up the show with a song and a tune. The song is my setting of the poem Spring by Paula Meehan, and the tune is The Hole in the Hedge. So Happy New Year to everybody. You can share this link with anybody and they can watch the show back. And there are also links in the description for last year's Old Road Radio and for Ecotone, which is the other kind of local audio project that I did back in 2021. So, Happy New Year to everybody. The first warm day of spring, and I step out into the garden from the gloom of a house where hope has died, to tally the storm damage, to seek what may have survived, and finding some forgotten lupins I'd sown from seed last autumn, holding in their fingers a raindrop each, like a peace offering or promise. And I am suddenly grateful and would offer a prayer if I believed in God, but not believing, I bless the power of seed, its casual, useful persistence, and bless the power of sun, its conspiracy with the underground, and thank my stars, the winter's ended. Happy New Year, Gurmil Magwiv, Slán.